welcome to Oakville Matters. It's good to see you. Today, let's go downtown. Council and I have been spending a lot of time over the last few years trying to get downtown a bright and shiny future that'll be a big success for the businesses down there and for our broader community as well. After all, downtown is kind of the iconic image, the brand, if you will, of Oakville. And the players are many, and three of them are with us today. And I'd like to introduce you to Susan Johnston, who's the Interim Executive Director of the Downtown Business Improvement Association, or BIA as we lingo it, and Doug McKirgan, who is a member of the board of the Trafalgar Chartwell Ratepayers Association, which is one of the town's oldest residents associations, and it's a downtown residents association. There's another one called Lakeside Residents Association that is right downtown and wasn't able to join us today. And we also have Janet Haslett-Theall, who is the leader of the Joshua Creek Residents Association, which, while it isn't exactly downtown, is close to downtown and very, very concerned about downtown. Thanks for joining me today. I hope that today we can at least expand the circle of awareness in town of those who know that we're working on the downtown, and maybe even why. It's classic Oakville that the ring, you drop the stone in the pond and the ring travels out, and it travels slowly. So there's probably people who don't know that I'm the mayor, and there's probably people who don't know that in 2019 we have to dig up Lakeshore Road on the 6 blocks of downtown Oakville to replace the roadbed, which is past its best by date, and the main sewer trunk, which is similarly in need of replacement. And failure of either of those two things would be very unpleasant. Picture sinkholes with smell. So we've after years of trying to get the timing right, we're now set for 2019, and as part of that, we have a vision of putting back the street after we rebuild that infrastructure in a way that will accommodate more activity on the high street, let's call it, the business street, by making wider sidewalks and making it more pedestrian friendly and actually more commerce friendly as well, because there'll be more room for sidewalk patios and all the other things that I think we like when we go downtown. The other thing that we've done is we've planned for when we restore this to have new infrastructure under the road to provide water and air for the trees that we want to plant. If you walk downtown now, you notice that some trees are grand and some are not so grand, and there's been problems over the years with hanging lights in the trees that get wrapped around the trunk and girdle the tree, and so we know that we could have a much greener and more attractive downtown if we put in the proper soil support for trees, and we can have wonderful trees everywhere instead of just here and there, and all of them flourishing instead of some maybe not so much. So how do we get there? We're working against a kind of hard deadline of the construction in 2019, and in the meantime, we're trying to make sure that the furniture, let's call it, that the look and feel of what goes on the street, the benches, the lamp standards, and all of those are to the taste of the community. And we've recently, council's recently heard the community and decided that as between contemporary, classic, and traditional, the traditional will be the theme. And this fall, looking forward to all of you and everyone else participating in a final selection of the actual, well, they call it furniture, but and I have some samples of what traditional looks like, but I'm required to say these are not them. These are only possibles. There's going to be choices within this category of traditional. So this is an example of traditional look bench as opposed to a contemporary one. And this is, I've got bollards here that have a traditional look. And we heard a lot about the existing style of street lamp. Many people are calling it the acorn style. It's never looked like an acorn to me, I have to confess, but it's got, I guess it's close enough to an acorn. I'm certainly not going to fight calling it an acorn style. There's other issues with the downtown. Susan, you want to make sure that the new lamp standards have the proper power.
Yeah, functionality.
So that
a lot of our efforts around beautification have to do with lighting. So we're often challenged with finding light sources in and around, trees or lamp posts that are accessible. And same for when we run our events, we need access to power. So we're really looking for functionality around power and ability to hang banners and flower baskets and those sorts of things.
So as disruptive as it might be to rebuild the street, there's at least some gain for the pain. And some of the gain is in functionality, so that Midnight Madness and the Jazz Festival and whatever else, when you need good power for a band, I mean, that's more than what you need for streetlights, that's there too. Absolutely. So there's an opportunity here to provide the things that we've been missing, right?
Absolutely.
So I think, would I be accurate to say that the members of the BIA are keen for the gain and not keen for the pain?
They are keen for the gain, and they're keen to understand how the construction plan will phase out. So that's really what's fussing them right now, is that there's not a clear line of sight other than knowing that it's 1920. So they're hoping that starting next year there's going to be a good plan that they're able to provide input in. And they're concerned about, in the news last week, there was a whole bunch of write-ups about what's going on in College Street and what's going on with their streetscape and the delays. So they're concerned about, is it really going to take as long as you say, and what is it going to look like? What's that construction plan going to look like?
Yeah, so the Council's required staff to come up with a publicly vetted construction mitigation plan and a scheme of conducting it so that the disruption is minimized. In other words, we wouldn't shut down the whole street the whole time, right. And various things like that. So that's good. On the residents' side, do you have concerns around that, or you're more focused on the gain at the end?
We're more focused on the gain at the end, I think. Yeah.
And is TCRA? Well, actually, we heard very strongly from TCRA that the traditional look was what you are in favor of.
Yeah, I'm not sure it was as clear cut as that. We did a survey, and we encouraged our members to provide feedback, go onto the town website and actually answer the questions. I think at the board level there was a view that we were sort of neutral. We know a lot of people care about it, but we were anxious for the decision to be made on style, and just let's get on. Mm-hmm. So now it's been made. We're happy.
Any consistent style or theme would be prettier than what we have now. So make a decision and get going.
Yeah.
So and council made a decision. They chose traditional. Janet, do you want a penny or two in that?
What's done is done. It's time to get on with it. Let's hope that whatever gets chosen is ergonomically friendly for the different demographics that frequent downtown, that it's family friendly, but it's good that we have a decision.
Yeah. I liked the one comment, make sure the bench is low enough that my feet will touch the ground.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty.
There was a request at that council meeting to have them actually installed maybe in downtown, as opposed to just showing up in a room somewhere. They actually wanted to see them installed and have them trialed.
Yeah. Well, good. Now on the construction update, on this mitigation, the the timing, as we see it now, is the Lakeshore Road Bridge rehabilitation starting January of 2017, so just a couple of months, and taking a year to December of 2017. And then the Lakeshore Road reconstruction of Navy to Forsyth, which is in conjunction with the bridge, would be the same time period. And as a result, we'll convert Navy Street to two-way traffic to make all that work. And in 2018, we would shift to two-way traffic of all the other one-way streets. And then the Lakeshore reconstruction, 2019 to 2020. It's still our belief that the gain is going to be worth the pain. I mean, the reality is we have to do it. Yeah. And we're spending the extra money to fix up. Instead of restoring it the way it is, we're going to restore it to this community vision, I'm going to call it, of a great deal more attractiveness that should make downtown into even more of a magnet for people than it was before.
So let me jump in there, because you used the word vision. And I think that that's something that the town, having worked so hard on consultations around Cultural Hub more than a year ago, and all of the different initiatives that are going on, we need you to come back to the community with a clearer vision of what is the vision for downtown, and what's the roadmap to get there, and how do the pieces that relate to beyond street furnishings and construction relate to the revitalization of downtown and to the Cultural Hub facilities, including a flagship digital library, and how the changes with the pool are going to be integrated. Because there is some confusion, and as you said, some people engage at one point, they disengage. It's time to come back to the community and really bring that vision together. What will downtown look like in 10 years, and how are we going to get there?
Yeah, so I agree, and one of the reasons that I'm so glad that we could have this discussion today and in front of television cameras is so that others can sort of listen over our shoulder and realize that this really is a community exercise, and we need people to put their 2 cents in. And when everybody in town puts 2 cents in, we wind up with a fortune. So we'll have a much stronger vision when we get everybody's druthers on the table. You know, for the last 10 years, the longer that I'm mayor, the more I believe in what I call engage and expand. We need to get together with kind of a blank sheet of paper and put all of our assumptions and druthers on it. And then we've got to work together to figure out what works and what doesn't work. And when we're done with that, usually we're left with a plan that is A, achievable, and B, desirable, and C, sometimes even celebrated. That's how we built the Livable Oakville official plan. And I was thrilled when we passed it at the way the Residents Association showed up and celebrated it. And one of the RA leaders who isn't here today said, "It feels so good to live in a town where council listens to you." And when you have a council that's listening, you don't have a council that's dictating or telling you. And some people, for efficiency, I've always felt, would rather that we just put something up to shoot at, and we're trying to build something in a communal kind of way, because we don't want shooting, we want building and co-creating. So it disappoints the shooters, I think.
Let me just jump in and follow up on what Janet just said. We really think the town is doing the right thing by thinking long term, by formulating a vision. The process of public consultation was outstanding, but it is complicated. It's hard to remember all of the components, it's also hard for people to look at two-dimensional pictures, at plans and maps, and really understand what it means, and some of the 3D animated rendering that some of us saw was helpful, but it still doesn't go all the way.
It's a little bit abstract because the features of the structures are missing.
Absolutely.
So it feels like sort of cheap animation, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know whether there's a place for a proper topographic model to, an architectural model, as it were.
I've always wanted one. Please,
I mean,
please get your board to ask for it.
Because it would be very helpful to try and understand, what we think the town may look like, or the downtown may look like, in 20, 30 years' time. That would be helpful.
So
let me back up.
We've handed out this kind of thing. Is that at all helpful in that direction?
Well, the flex street and the absolutely, that's a great. That was a great picture, but pictures, to go off what Doug was saying, a picture actually, that 3D really helps people come into under the tent, and here's where we're headed. You saw that with these furnishings as an example. Mm-hmm. As soon as you put that ugly light up, it was a fire. Everybody was like, I hate that. So if they can see it, they're going to have a clear sense of what they like and they don't like. And we don't have that. We have it for the streetscape and the breadth of the streets, but we don't have that for the overall view of how downtown comes together.
So is this a second vote for an architectural model?
It is as many votes as I can gather for you, because it would really make a huge difference.
Would make a difference.
So we have a similar view to the one on Lakeshore of what George Street would look like, because George Street in the vision we put before the public would also have that kind of flex street treatment. Yeah. So I gather that some of the pieces, given a traditional theme, with the actual pieces yet to be chosen, but I think we're getting very close to consensus, and I think there's a clear center of gravity towards this style of street and this style of activity. And so that's very heartening.
The BIA businesses are very much in favor of a flexible Lakeshore Street now that that's coming back for potential for discussion, rather than, I think it was George, and I can't remember the other one, but I know there was two flexible streets in the first design. So in terms of patio and vibrant, pedestrian neighborhood, flexible streets, the BIA is all in favor of that.
Yeah, Lakeshore and George Street really make sense to me for this. I'm continuing to be puzzled by whether people feel we should use the post office site to bring some. So we have all of our cultural facilities on Navy right now at Centennial, and I've been on the board of the Business Improvement Association for several years now, and I've heard from the merchants who, the further away from, so Navy's at one end of the business district, and 6 blocks away is Allen Street. Mm-hmm. And the further away you get from Navy Street, the more the merchants say, hey, could you share the love and put something down near us, because we'd like some of that foot traffic. Mm-hmm. And I've been hoping to, and I've come to believe personally that is what we should do. I think it would make for, we know that we have these things down there because they attract visitors and make the business district stronger. Mm-hmm. I think we all agree on why we do that. So if you accept that premise, I think it becomes logical that if you move a little bit of the attractors, and the post office would be putting something halfway down, so there'd be something in the middle, it's bound to help the other end. More than having it all at one end. So I'm personally of the feeling that that's where we need to go.
Yeah, for what it's worth, I agree with that too.
Yeah.
Well, it's worth a lot to me because I've been trying to get answers on this.
Yeah.
Well, and I think you have to come back, because now the survey that we did as residents associations over a year ago and reported out to council said there isn't clarity. It was almost a dead heat in terms of 50% want it spread apart and 50% were all on the Centennial Square land. So coming back to the community and saying, you've had time to think about it, we've done this, some of this is some of the other work, it's prime time to do that. But let me add one more piece into downtown,
Sure.
and that's parking. And we have surface parking that the council, I believe, has caused for pause and say, hold on, is there a better way to use that surface parking space and use that public land to then create parking underground and use the airspace to create, you know, whether it's housing or other retail, and use that space. They need to come back to us with an answer on what are the options and what's the market sounding results that they were going to go out to do. But one of the messages about downtown has to be, we need a place to park. And parking is, I believe, that one of the concerns still for the BIA.
It definitely is. I will say, especially as with construction coming up, they're very concerned about what kind of mitigation will we have in place to have people park, whether it be free, you know, that's always one that they like to toss out there, or where are they going to park at all during construction. And yeah, parking is always an issue for our members downtown, and there are very split views on parking. Some members would like it to be free, and some think that, you know, certainly on Lakeshore it should remain paid. But yes, we are always having conversations about parking challenges.
I would say something else. We've got to be careful to think about more than just projects, more than just a construction, you know, and then it's done and we can leave it. Parking operationally downtown is a problem. I mean, I'm not talking for the merchants, but for me as a resident, I can't figure out how to use those new parking meters. They're really tricky.
The ones where you have to put your license plate in?
Yeah. And you know, in the sun you can't see very clearly the tiny little screen. So it gets to the point where people like me sometimes don't want to go downtown. It's too much of a nuisance. So you go somewhere else to do buy your whatever. So operate, you know, we need to think also about excellence in the downtown, not just in what it looks like, but in also how it operates. And it's got to be a continuous kind of concern for us.
That is a continuing concern for council. We found it just as hard to use as you did, and you know, we use them too. Yeah. And the visibility thing, the legibility in the sunlight, all of those things have impacted us as well.
This shouldn't be an us and you thing. This is, I mean, we're going to get it wrong, and then we go back and fix it. I mean, it's just.
Well, I'm very proud of the way our town is reflected in the council that it elects. The councilors really are of the community. They're rooted and they understand the community. We see ourselves as no different than you. We're just friends and neighbors that you've tasked with reading the long reports and trying to make the right decision. Council doesn't pick those parking machines either, I might say. And we're staff have not found a lot of support from council on. They've had no praise from council for that choice. There's an alleged gain to be had when the next module goes into the thing, so that you can extend your parking by your phone, and that was the reason for the license plate. Right. People now, I quarrel.
No dashing out at dinner now.
Yeah, and I quarrel with asking for the license plate before you need to. Before giving it gets you the gain. You know what I mean? I would have thought that before I ask you to put the license plate in, I would have the module in that gave you the benefit of doing that.
Communicating is very tricky. Yeah. I mean, that's news to me. How many people know that that's the reason?
It's that stone in the pond and the ripple, isn't it? Yet again. You know, at the same time that we're doing the downtown, we are also in the so every 5 years you're supposed to do a review of your official plan, and Livable Oakville is now due, and we've just launched the 5-year review of the official plan. It took us several years to create the official plan, and it'll take several years to do the review, and there already is in our existing official plan a vision for downtown, for Midtown, for Kerr Street, for Bronte, for everywhere, including a very strong vision for protecting our stable, established neighborhoods by directing intensification to 6 growth areas. And that's a very important piece of the review. I think we need to be looking at it in terms of how do we strengthen the protection of the established neighborhoods, how do we strengthen our ability to direct growth and intensification to the 6 growth areas, and to check how much growth we're directing to the 6 growth areas. So that's a chance for people who believe that, well, for example, on Kerr Street and Bronte Village, there's I hear very strong sentiment to the effect that they need more customers, they need more workers and residents in those areas, and there's certainly room there to do that. And in the downtown, over the last 3 years, I've heard a growing perception that that might be true there as well, and at the same time an apprehension of, but not too much. Mm-hmm. And this process of reviewing the official plan is when we get to reallocate things in terms of amount of growth wanted here and there.
Well, and it's certainly the 2 consultations I went to that showed us where we could go keep it 4-story and then go 8-story and perhaps go 12 stories on either end of downtown speaks to that, places to grow plan and downtown intensification within a managed plan.
And respecting our heritage district and not breaking our 4-story theory of the heritage district.
The desire is to look at, if you're on Lakeshore Road, have a sense that you're still on Lakeshore Road, even if it's staggered back.
That's right.
Yeah,
so I think we're just about out of time. I'd like to do this again. I think we need many more discussions. I hope everybody watching will go out and start their own discussion and reach out to you and reach out to me for information. It's been great being with you, and I hope that you'll join us again on Oakville Matters.